The wind screamed across the broken desert, carrying the smell of smoke and metal. Once, this planet had been full of cities that touched the sky. Now only black ruins stood like the bones of giants. The air was hot, poisoned by radiation and fire. In the middle of this dead world, a small figure crawled through the dust. Her skin was pale blue and covered with ash. Her silver eyes flickered weakly, dim like dying stars. She clutched a broken toy made of crystal in one trembling hand. Each breath hurt. Her tiny body shook from cold and hunger. She whispered a single word into the wind, soft, cracked, almost lost in the storm. "Mom!" The word echoed across the ruins, bouncing off the hollow walls of what had once been her home. But no one answered. The ground trembled as thunder rolled in the distance. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. The girl fell face first into the dust, her small fingers still gripping the toy. Far above, high in the planet's dark sky, a human salvage ship moved slowly through the clouds. It was old and worn, its metal body scratched and scorched. Inside sat a man, Eli Ward, a lone scavenger and former soldier. He was scanning for salvage, scrap metal, lost tech, anything worth selling. His radar blinked with weak signals from the ground. Old energy cores, weapons, nothing alive. He sighed and leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. It had been a long day. Then he heard it, a voice, small, fragile, whispering through the static of his comm system. "Mom," Eli froze. He stared at the screen. The signal was faint, coming from the ruins below. The computer labeled it as a biological echo. Something alive. He leaned closer, heart pounding. "No way," he muttered. "No one's left alive down there." He adjusted the frequency and the whisper came again, this time clearer, sadder, weaker. "Mom," Eli swallowed hard. His instinct screamed to ignore it. He knew what happened to scavengers who followed strange signals. Many never came back. But something in that voice, something innocent, desperate, wouldn't let him turn away. He flicked a few switches. The ship's engines roared to life as he descended through the thick clouds. The storm outside flashed with blue lightning. His ship rattled as he pushed it through the wind, following the weak beacon deeper into the wasteland. Minutes later, he landed near a destroyed colony outpost. The structures were nothing but melted steel and burnt glass. The ground was cracked open, smoke rising from deep fissures. Eli grabbed his helmet and plasma rifle, stepping out into the storm. His boots sank into the ash. His helmet's visor glowed faintly, marking traces of movement. The signal was near, inside the ruins. He followed the trail through twisted corridors and fallen walls. Everywhere he saw the marks of battle. Energy burns, shattered pods, blood turned black by the heat. Whoever lived here had died fighting. Then through the static in his headset, he heard the voice again. Faint, trembling. "Mom." It was close now. Eli slowed down, flashlight cutting through the dust. He turned a corner and froze. There, half buried under collapsed debris, was a small alien girl. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dust. She was breathing, and barely. Her eyes opened slightly when the light hit her face. She saw the tall human in metal armor and gasped, trying to crawl away. Her voice cracked in fear. "Don't hurt me, please." Eli lowered his weapon immediately. Hey, it's okay," he said softly, switching to universal standards so she could understand. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't move. She stared at him like a cornered animal. Her small chest rose and fell quickly. Eli took off his helmet so she could see his face. Human, tired, but kind. He placed it on the ground and raised his hands. "See? No weapon. I just want to help you." Her wide silver eyes filled with tears. You're human," she whispered. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I'm human." "What's your name, kid?" She didn't answer. Her lips trembled. "Humans killed everyone." Eli looked around at the bodies half buried in ash and felt a weight settle in his chest. He had seen this kind of destruction before, too many times. "Not me," he said quietly. "I didn't do this. But if you stay here, you'll die." He reached into his pack and pulled out a small water flask. He opened it and placed it near her. She hesitated, then crawled forward and grabbed it with shaking hands. The water spilled over her lips, but she kept drinking until it was empty. When she finished, she looked up at him again, still afraid but no longer running. "Please," she whispered. "Help me find Mom." Eli felt something twist inside him, That same voice, the one from the comm signal, was now right in front of him. He couldn't leave her. Not after that, okay, he said firmly. But first, we need to get you out of here. He lifted the broken metal pieces off her legs, careful not to hurt her. She winced but didn't cry. Her strength amazed him. When she was free, he wrapped her in a small thermal blanket from his pack and lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He could feel her heart racing against his armor. As he carried her through the storm, his wrist device beeped, motion detected. The radar showed several signals moving fast in their direction. He looked at the girl. "Who's following us?" Her voice was small, shaking. "Hunters. They came for me. They said I'm not allowed to live." Eli cursed under his breath. "Not today, kid." He ran faster, boots pounding against the cracked ground. The sky flashed with lightning. In the distance, dark shapes moved, drones with glowing red eyes. They fired plasma shots that scorched the sand near his feet. Eli fired back, short controlled bursts. The air filled with light and smoke. One drone exploded in a ball of fire, but two more kept coming. He reached the ridge where his ship waited and slammed his hand against the hatch control. "Get in," he shouted, setting her down inside the cockpit. The girl ducked under the seat as explosions shook the ground outside. Eli jumped into the pilot chair and slammed the ignition. The ship roared to life, engines glowing bright blue. He pulled the throttle, lifting them off the surface as plasma bolts streaked past the windows. "Hang on," he yelled. The ship shot upward through the storm, shaking violently. The girl clung to her seat, eyes wide in fear. When the sky turned black and silent, Eli finally slowed the engines. He looked back at her. She was curled up, breathing hard, holding the broken crystal toy to her chest. "You're safe now," he said softly, "at least for a while." She looked at him with tears glimmering in her eyes. "Why did you help me?" Eli looked away, out into the endless void. "Because no one helped me when I needed it," he said quietly. The girl tilted her head, not understanding. Then she whispered again, almost like a breath. "Mom." Eli turned back. "We'll find her," he said. "I promise." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The ship drifted through space, silent except for the hum of the engines. Outside, the stars glowed softly as if watching them, but suddenly a sharp alarm cut through the quiet. Eli's console flashed red, incoming signal. Multiple targets locked, his eyes widened. "They tracked us?" He turned to the girl. She clutched her crystal toy, eyes full of terror. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They never stop." The radar lit up with dozens of red dots closing in. Eli grabbed the controls, jaw tight. Then they picked the wrong human to chase. He pushed the engines to maximum. The ship roared into the dark, leaving behind the burning planet, but the child's whisper still echoed in the cockpit. Soft, trembling, full of pain. "Mom." The stars outside the cockpit blurred into streaks of blue as Eli's ship cut through the upper layers of the ruined planet's atmosphere. But peace didn't last long. The radar beeped again, fast, sharp warning tones. "Damn it," Eli muttered, scanning the display. Red dots were appearing one after another. Enemy ships, small and fast, closing in like a pack of wolves. The little alien girl sat quietly behind him, gripping the seatbelt. Her wide silver eyes reflected the flashing lights. "They found us," she whispered, her voice trembling. Eli tightened his jaw. "Yeah, I can see that." He slammed a few switches. The ship's shields flared, glowing faint blue around the hull. Then he pushed the throttle all the way. The engines roared, pulling them into the dark sky above the storm. Outside, the enemy fighters followed. Sleek alien drones shaped like blades, their engines pulsing red. They fired energy bolts that streaked past the human ship, lighting up the darkness. "Hold on, kid," Eli shouted. The girl grabbed the seat with both hands as the ship twisted sharply to the left. The view outside spun, fire, lightning, and stars. Eli dove the ship toward a canyon filled with storm clouds. The lightning flashed all around them, creating a wall of white light. The drones followed, firing nonstop. The entire ship rattled. Warning lights screamed. The girl covered her ears. "Make it stop!" Eli gritted his teeth. "Working on it." He flipped a switch to activate countermeasures. Dozens of small glowing spheres launched from the rear of his ship, exploding into bright flashes. The drone's sensors scrambled. Their vision blinded for a few seconds. Eli used that moment. He pulled the ship upward and shot straight through the storm clouds. The ship burst out of the atmosphere in a flash of light, leaving the drone spinning below. Silence. Space again. Endless blackened stars. Eli sighed, wiping sweat from his forehead. That was close. The girl peeked from behind the seat, still shaking. They won't stop, she said softly. They always find me. Eli turned to her. Why? What do they want from you? Her hands tightened around her small crystal toy. Because of what I am. He raised an eyebrow. And what are you? She looked down. My name is Lyra, she said slowly. My mother said I was born different. Not like others, Eli frowned. Different how? Lyra hesitated, then lifted her hand. A faint silver light shimmered under her skin. The ship's damaged control panel suddenly blinked and repaired itself. Wires fused, screen stabilized, energy returned to full power. Eli's mouth fell open. You fixed that? Lyra nodded quietly. I can talk to machines. Mom said it's because of the human cells inside me. Eli blinked, stunned. Wait, human cells? You're part human? She nodded again, tears in her eyes. Mom said humans and my people could never mix. But she tried anyway. She said love could change the galaxy. The others called me wrong. A mistake. Eli leaned back, speechless. Half human, half alien. No wonder the drones were hunting her. If her existence was real, it could break every treaty between the two species. He looked at her again. This tiny child who had survived when her whole colony was destroyed. She wasn't a weapon. She was just scared and alone. Lyra hugged her knees. They said I should have died. But Mom hid me. Eli exhaled slowly. Then we'll keep you hidden. I promise. But before he could say more, the radar beeped again, louder this time. The ship's computer spoke in a cold tone. Warning tracking signal detected. Multiple contacts approaching from orbit. Eli cursed. How the hell did they find us again? Lyra's eyes widened. They use my blood. It sends energy waves. Mom said it's like a beacon. Eli's mind raced. So you're telling me you're broadcasting your location every time you breathe? She nodded miserably. I can't stop it. He sighed and leaned forward. All right. We'll figure something out. But first we've got to move. He pulled the ship into hyperspace. Stars stretched into long trails of light as they jumped through the wormhole. The vibrations shook the entire hull. Lyra gasped and grabbed his arm, frightened by the strange sensation. It's okay, Eli said, trying to sound calm. Just a jump. Feels weird the first time. Minutes passed. The blue tunnel of light surrounded them. Then, on static, a soft sound echoed through the speakers. A faint voice, female, distant, broken. Lyra. Is that you? Eli's blood went cold. He turned toward the console. What the? Lyra sat up straight, eyes wide. Mom? She whispered. The voice repeated, clearer now. Lyra, my little star. If you hear this, run. Eli leaned closer. It's a transmission. Not live, pre-recorded maybe. But then the voice changed and full of fear. They found me. The project is gone. You must survive. A human will come for you. Trust him. Eli froze. He looked at Lyra. She knew I'd come? Lyra was crying silently. She said that before she disappeared. No one believed her. The transmission crackled again. Lyra, the key is inside you. Don't let them use it. I'll find you again. I promise. Then the voice faded into static. Eli sat in silence, staring at the screen. The ship's sensors showed no source of the signal. It was like it came from nowhere or everywhere. Lyra whispered, She's alive. I know she is. Eli looked at her, at the hope in her small, trembling face. He wanted to believe it too. But before he could answer, the ship jerked violently. The lights flickered red. Hyperdrive destabilized. Exit imminent. Eli grabbed the controls. Hold tight! The ship was thrown out of hyperspace with a loud crack. Stars returned, but so did danger. Right in front of them, massive alien ships floated like metal predators. The largest one had a symbol glowing red across its hull. The mark of the Dominion, the same faction that destroyed Lyra's world. Eli's heart sank. Of course. Right into their backyard. The comm channel opened again, this time with a cold mechanical voice. Human vessel, surrender the hybrid child. Do so and your death will be quick. Eli laughed dryly. Not today. He pulled the ship into a steep dive toward a cluster of asteroids. Beams of red plasma cut through the darkness, barely missing them. The ship rocked and shook as debris scraped the hull. Lyra screamed as sparks flew across the cockpit. Eli, I'm fine. he shouted, struggling to keep control. Just hold on! They weaved between asteroids the size of mountains, using the rocks as shields. The enemy ships fired, shattering stones into clouds of fire. Eli's ship was hit once, a hard blow that sent alarms blaring. Shields down to 20%, the computer warned. Eli gritted his teeth. Come on, old girl, don't fail me now. Lyra suddenly reached forward, touching the console again. The screens flickered and then stabilized. The ship's power surged. Eli blinked. You just boosted the core. I can feel the machines, she said quietly, eyes glowing silver. They listen to me. Eli gave a small, amazed smile. Then keep talking to them, kid. They sped through the asteroid field. One by one, the enemy ships crashed into rocks or lost their signal. Finally, the radar cleared. Silence again. Eli leaned back in exhaustion. We're alive. Somehow. Lyra looked out the window. The stars shimmered against the black. We can't go back, can we? Eli shook his head. No, the Dominion knows your face now. They'll never stop, she swallowed hard. Then what will we do? He paused, staring at the fading blue light on his console. The echo of her mother's message still looping faintly in the background. She said she'd find you, he murmured. Maybe that message came from somewhere real. A signal point. Lyra looked up, hope flickering again. You think she's alive? Eli smiled softly. I think she's out there. And I think she wants you safe. So that's what we're gonna do. He opened the nav map and marked the last coordinates where the signal originated. Deep within a sector labeled Forbidden Zone, Silent Expanse. The girl leaned closer. That's where she went. Eli looked at the endless darkness ahead. Then that's where we're going. The engines hummed, power returning to full. The ship turned slowly toward the unknown. Lyra whispered again. The same word that had started it all, soft as a heartbeat. Mom. Eli looked at her reflection in the glass. Small, fragile, glowing faintly in the light of the stars. He didn't say it out loud, but inside his heart he made a promise he couldn't break. No matter what waits out there, I'll keep you safe. The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold, bright, and silent. Eli's ship drifted through the dark, heading toward the silent expanse, a forbidden region of space where no ship dared to enter. The little alien girl, Lyra, sat quietly by the window watching the stars slide past. Her reflection shimmered faintly on the glass, silver eyes glowing softly like twin moons. How much longer? She asked in a tired voice. Eli glanced at the screen. Couple of hours. The coordinates lead deep into the expanse. Whatever's out there, your mom wanted you to find it? Lyra nodded but didn't smile. She clutched her crystal toy tighter. Do you really think she's alive? Eli looked at her, a small fragile being holding on to hope like it was air. I've seen a lot of things die in war, kid. But sometimes, people survive when they shouldn't. So yeah, I think she might be. Outside, strange lights flashed in the darkness. The deeper they flew, the quieter the stars became. Their brightness faded, replaced by a thick, swirling mist like liquid shadows. The navigation system flickered. Warning, entering restricted space. Signal interference detected. Eli frowned. That's comforting. Lyra tilted her head. I can feel something here. It's like the space is alive. Eli raised an eyebrow. You feel space? She nodded softly. It whispers, like machines do, but different. Sad. Eli tried not to show it, but the way she said that made the hair on his neck rise. He gripped the controls tighter and kept going. Then, a sudden flash. A massive structure appeared ahead, floating between asteroids. A station made of dark metal and pale light. It looked ancient, broken in half, but still active. Energy pulsed weakly from its core like a dying heart. That's it, Eli muttered. That's where the signal came from. He guided the ship closer and landed near the outer docking bay. The airlock creaked open with a hiss. Cold air rushed in. Eli put on his gear, grabbed his weapon, and looked back at Lyra. Stay close to me. She nodded, clutching her toy as they stepped inside the ruined base. The corridor was silent, filled with floating dust and flickering lights. Old computer panels still blinked faintly. Lyra touched one of the walls. The lights brightened instantly. It knows me, she whispered. Eli looked around. Your mother built this place, didn't she? Lyra's expression softened. She used to work here, before everything happened. They walked deeper until they reached a large chamber. In the center stood a giant glass pod connected to machines. Inside, surrounded by pale light, floated a woman, her body still, her hair silver like Lyra's. Lyra gasped. "Mom!" Eli's heart stopped. The woman was beautiful, almost ethereal. Tubes connected to her chest pulsed slowly, keeping her alive. Eli rushed to the control panel beside the pod. The screen showed alien code, but one phrase was written in English. "Stasis mode, active, life sign stable. She's alive," he whispered. "Your mom's alive." Lyra pressed her hands to the glass. "Mom, please wake up." The pod responded to her touch. Lights flickered. The glass began to open with a hiss. Cold mist spilled out, covering the floor like smoke. The woman inside opened her eyes. They glowed the same silver light as Lyra's. Slowly, she turned her head toward them. Her voice was weak but warm. "Lyra, my star." Lyra sobbed and threw her arms around her. "Mom, I thought you were gone." Eli stepped back, watching silently. It was a moment too pure for words. The woman smiled faintly. "You found me, just like I knew you would." Then she looked up at Eli. "And you, human, you brought her here." Eli nodded respectfully. "Name's Eli. I followed the signal you left. I almost didn't believe it was real." Her gaze softened. "I'm Dr. Avon. I owe you more than I can ever repay." Eli shrugged. "Just doing what's right." Dr. Avon looked at her daughter lovingly, brushing her hair back. "You've grown stronger than I dreamed." But her face soon darkened. "We don't have much time. They'll come." Eli frowned. "The Dominion?" She nodded. "Yes. They want Lyra because she's the only successful hybrid ever born. They believe her DNA can make perfect soldiers, strong as humans, adaptive as my people." Eli's jaw tightened. "So they're trying to weaponize her." Dr. Avon's eyes glowed with quiet rage. "They already tried. That's why I hid her. I sent the message to myself, but fate sent you instead." Eli crossed his arms. "You said she carries a key." "What does that mean?" Avon touched Lyra's chest gently. "Inside her there's a living code, a fusion of both species. If the Dominion gets it, they'll erase free will from half the galaxy. That's why she must survive." Eli took a deep breath. "Then let's get out of here." But before anyone could move, the base shook violently. The alarm blared, deep, thunderous, echoing across the halls. "Warning, incoming ships detected." Lyra's face went pale. "They're here." Dr. Avon turned to Eli, her eyes filled with urgency. "There's a hidden escape route through the lower hangar." "Take her, go now." Eli grabbed his rifle. "What about you?" "I'll stay and delay them. If they capture me, they'll stop to question, not kill." Lyra shook her head fiercely. "No, I'm not leaving you again." Dr. Avon cupped her face gently. "You must. You're the future now, my love." Eli hesitated. He hated leaving anyone behind, but he saw the determination in Avon's eyes. He knew there was no arguing. The walls shuddered again. Explosions echoed in the distance. Eli picked up Lyra and started running toward the hangar. Behind them, Dr. Avon turned toward the control panels, her hands glowing bright silver as she activated the base's defense systems. Doors slammed shut. Energy turrets rose from the floor, firing at the invading soldiers. Dark figures in armor marked with the Dominion's red crest. Lyra screamed as the ground shook. "Mom!" Dr. Avon smiled through the smoke. "Go, my star, live!" Eli ran faster, the girl clinging to him, tears streaming down her face. The corridors burned behind them. The whole station groaned under the weight of battle. They reached the hangar. Eli threw Lyra into the cockpit and climbed in right after. The engines roared. The ship lifted just as the walls exploded behind them. Through the fire and chaos, Lyra saw her mother one last time, standing in the flames, glowing with silver light, facing the enemy alone. "Mom," she whispered, voice breaking. A blinding flash filled the sky. The entire station erupted in a wave of white light that spread across the void. Then owning silence. The ship tumbled through the shockwave, alarm screaming. Eli fought the controls until the engines stabilized. Smoke filled the cabin. When the noise finally stopped, only the hum of the engines remained. Lyra sat frozen, staring at the stars. Her toy had fallen from her hands, cracked in half. "She's gone," she whispered. Eli looked at her, his throat tight. "She saved you. She made sure you had a chance." Lyra wiped her eyes. "What do I do now?" Eli reached out and put a hand on her shoulder. You live. You make it mean something. She looked at him, small, scared, but with a spark of strength in her eyes. Will you stay with me? Eli nodded. Yeah, you're not alone anymore. She leaned against him, silent tears running down her cheeks. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly again, cold but somehow brighter. After a long pause, she whispered, Mom said I was born to build a bridge between worlds. Maybe one day. I can, Eli smiled faintly. Then I'll make sure you get that chance, kid. He set the coordinates for a distant human colony, far beyond Dominion reach. As the engines roared, the ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the ashes of war. For a moment in the swirling light of hyperspace, Eli thought he saw something, a silver shimmer, like a woman's face smiling softly. Maybe it was just a trick of the light. Or maybe somehow Dr. Avon was still watching. Lyra whispered one last time, gentle, full of hope. Mom, the stars answered in silence.